Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something really useful for anyone learning English, phrasal verbs. They're those two or sometimes three word combinations like give up or run out, which make English feel more natural and fluent. Max and I will go through what phrasal verbs are and show you how to use them confidently. Right, Max?
Exactly, Emma. Phrasal verbs can be a bit tricky because they often have meanings that you can't just figure out from the words themselves. But once you understand them, they're super powerful in everyday conversations. You'll sound more like a native speaker.
And we'll make it simple. Let's start with understanding what a phrasal verb really is. A phrasal verb is a verb combined with a small word, usually a preposition or an adverb. When they come together, they create a new meaning.
That's right. A classic example is look up. The verb look means to see or try to find something with your eyes. But when we add up, it can mean to find information or even to admire. It's not just about looking upward.
Exactly, and that's why they're a bit tricky. You can't always guess what they mean from the individual words. But don't worry, we'll give you examples to make them easier to understand. So, Max, let's dive into some popular phrasal verbs. How about starting with one we use every day?
Sure, let's start with get up. This one is used when we wake up and leave our bed. So, get normally means to receive or obtain something. But when we say get up, it means to rise, like from bed. Emma, what do you think?
Yes, so if I say, I get up at 7 a.m. every day, it means I wake up and leave my bed at that time. Simple, right? But very useful. Now, let's move on to another one. How about give up?
Perfect choice. Emma, give usually means to offer something to someone. But when we add up, give up means to quit or stop trying. For example, I won't give up on learning English. That means I'll keep trying to learn English.
Great example, Max. And it's a positive mindset. Another one we use often is run out. It sounds like you're running, but in reality, run out means that you've used something completely. For example, we run out of milk means there's no milk left.
That's a really good one to know, especially if you're shopping or cooking. You might say, oh no, I ran out of eggs. Or I'm running out of time, which means I don't have enough time left. It's super common in conversations.
Exactly. These expressions help make your English sound more natural. Let's do another one. Turn on and turn off. These are both very useful for everyday situations. So when we say turn on, it means to start something, usually something electronic, like lights or a computer.
Yes, if I say turn on the TV, I mean I want the TV to start working. And if I say turn off the TV, it means I want the TV to stop working. Simple, but very useful for daily life.
Absolutely. Imagine saying, I forgot to turn off the lights last night. Or, can you turn on the fan, please? You'll use these phrases a lot. Phrasal verbs can be fun once you get the hang of them.
They really can, and there's another one we can mention, a pickup. So pick normally means to choose something, right? But when we say pick up, it can mean to lift something or even to collect someone. Like, I'll pick you up at 7 p.m., which means I'll come get you at that time.
Yes, or if you drop something, you can say, I'll pick it up. And here's another use. I want to pick up a new skill. That means you want to learn something new. Isn't that interesting?
It is. Let's keep it going. Another really common one is hang out. Now, hang normally means to attach something, like hang a picture, but hang out means to spend time with someone casually, like with friends.
Exactly. So if I say, do you want to hang out later? It means, do you want to spend time together? Maybe just relaxing. It's a great way to ask friends to meet up without making a big plan.
And speaking of friends, we have another good one. Call off. This one means to cancel something. So, call usually means to make a phone call, but when we say call off, it means to cancel an event or plan.
Right, like they called off the meeting, or the game was called off because of the rain. So it's really useful if you're talking about plans that change.
And here's one I really like: set up. Set usually means to place something somewhere, but set up means to arrange or prepare something. So you could say, let's set up a meeting, or can you set up the computer?
That's a good one, Max. And don't forget breakdown. This one can mean to stop working. Like, my car broke down, which means it stopped working. But breakdown can also mean to explain something in simple terms. Like, can you break down this math problem for me?
Great example. Emma, so many phrasal verbs can have more than one meaning, which is why they're so interesting. It really adds to the way you can communicate in English.
Totally agree. And I think with practice, they start feeling a bit more natural. Once you see them in sentences and start using them, they're easier to remember.
Exactly. The more you use them, the more you understand them, and soon they'll just be a normal part of your vocabulary. That's why we're going over these common ones today to help you get comfortable using them.
That's right. And you don't have to memorize all of them at once. Just try a few in your daily life, and you'll get used to them. When you learn them naturally, they're easier to remember.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to try them out. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn.
Exactly, Max. So, everyone, keep practicing these, and you'll be using them confidently in no time.
So, let's keep going with more phrasal verbs. We've got lots to cover, and these next ones are super useful in everyday life. I hope everyone's feeling good about the phrasal verbs we've talked about so far. Ready to dive deeper, Emma?
Absolutely, Max. Let's keep it simple and fun. Phrasal verbs really add a lot to your English. They make your speaking sound more natural, so it's worth taking the time to learn them. What's the next one on our list?
Let's go with find out. This one is really common. So, find means to discover or locate something. But when we add out, find out means to discover information, often something new. Like, I found out that my friend is moving to a new city.
Good one, Max. And it's a phrase you'll hear a lot, especially when talking about news or updates. For example, did you find out what time the movie starts? Or I found out about the new cafe in town. It's a fun way to share new information.
Exactly, and then we have another one, put off. So put usually means to place something somewhere, right? But when we say put off, it means to delay or postpone something.
Yes, like, I'm going to put off cleaning my room until tomorrow. Or the company put off the meeting until next week. It's very common to use this when you're talking about plans that are changing or getting delayed.
Right, Emma, and another good one to know is come up. This one means something has happened unexpectedly. So, come usually means to move towards something, but come up means something appeared or occurred out of the blue.
Yes, a great example would be, I had to leave the party early because something came up. Or, I was going to go for a walk, but work came up. It's useful for explaining why your plans changed quickly.
That's exactly it. And speaking of things that come up, another phrasal verb that's related is show up. This one is used to say someone arrived somewhere. So, if we say, she showed up late, it means she arrived late.
Yes, Max. And you can also use show up in situations where something or someone appears unexpectedly. Like, my friend just showed up at my door, or the package showed up this morning. You can use it to describe people or things arriving somewhere.
Great examples. Emma, show up is very flexible. And then we have take off. Now, this one is interesting because it has a few different meanings. One of the most common is when you're talking about airplanes. When a plane leaves the ground, we say it takes off.
Yes, you'll often hear, the plane is about to take off. But take off can also mean to leave quickly. For example, he took off as soon as he saw the time. Or it can even mean something becoming very popular, like that song really took off.
Absolutely. Emma, it's cool how one phrase can mean different things based on context. And that's why it's important to pay attention to how people use phrasal verbs. All right, let's move on to keep up.
Good choice, Max. Keep generally means to hold or maintain something. But when we say keep up, it means to stay at the same level or pace as someone or something. For example, I try to keep up with my homework. Or can you keep up with me when we're running?
Exactly, and it's helpful in many situations, like at work or in school. If your teacher says, make sure you keep up with the class, it means to stay at the same speed as everyone else. It's a great phrase for talking about progress.
Yes, and while we're on the topic of speed, there's also slow down. So, slow by itself means to reduce speed. And when we add down, slow down means to move or do something more slowly.
That's a really useful one, Emma. People use it in different contexts, like, can you slow down? I can't understand you when you talk so fast, or you should slow down if you're feeling stressed. It's great advice to remind people to take their time.
Definitely, Max. And here's another that's useful for any situation. Turn up. So, turn usually means to rotate something, but turn up means to increase something, often the volume of music or sound.
Exactly. If someone says, turn up the music, they mean to make the sound louder. Or you might hear, the heater isn't warm enough. Can you turn it up? It's also used when people or things appear unexpectedly, like, look who turned up at the party.
Great examples, Max. It's really helpful for both sound and surprise situations. And let's not forget give in. Now, give usually means to offer something, but give in means to surrender or accept something after resisting it.
That's right, Emma. So you might hear, I tried to resist, but I finally gave in and bought the shoes, or the dog begged for food and I gave in. It's used a lot when someone can't say no to something anymore.
And it's such a natural way to talk about those moments. Moving on, let's look at workout. Work means to do a job or put in effort, but workout has a few meanings. One popular meaning is to exercise or do physical activity.
Yes. You could say, I work out 3 times a week, but workout also means to solve a problem or figure something out, like I need to work out how to fix my computer, or even I hope things work out, which means you hope everything turns out okay.
So true. And another one that's similar is figure out. This means to understand something after thinking about it. You could say, I'm trying to figure out how to use this new phone. Or, it took me a while, but I finally figured out the answer.
That's one I use a lot, and here's another good one. Fill in. Fill means to put something into something else, like filling a cup with water. But fill in means to complete something, like filling in information on a form.
Right, Max. You might also hear someone say, can you fill me in on what happened at the meeting? Which means they're asking for the details. It's a really useful phrase for work and social situations.
Absolutely. And fill out is another similar one. Fill out is used mainly for completing forms or documents. For example, please fill out this application form. It's another one that comes up in everyday life.
Great point, Max. And here's one more. Break up. Now break usually means to separate something, like breaking a cookie. But break up can mean ending a relationship. You might hear, they broke up after 3 years together.
And it can also mean to divide something into smaller parts, like let's break up the tasks so it's easier to finish, or even when something gets disrupted, like the signal broke up during the call.
Exactly, Max. It's all about knowing the context. Now, here's another fun one. Bring up. So, bring normally means to carry something, but bring up means to start talking about a topic.
That's right, Emma. So you might hear, she brought up an interesting point in the meeting, which means she mentioned something worth discussing. It's perfect for both formal and casual conversations.
Yes, and speaking of discussing things, there's also talk over. This one means to discuss something in detail. So you might hear, let's talk over the plan before we start, which means let's discuss it carefully.
Good one, Emma, and it's useful to be polite. If someone's speaking and you interrupt them, they might say, don't talk over me, meaning not to speak while they're speaking.
Yes, it's all about clear communication. And I think practicing these phrasal verbs will really help everyone get more confident using them. We're covering a lot, but they're all so handy for real-life conversations.
Exactly, Emma, and remember, everyone, you don't have to learn them all at once. Just pick a few that feel useful to you and try using them. It's all about practice, and soon they'll become a natural part of how you speak.
All right, everyone, let's keep building on what we've learned so far. I hope you're all feeling more confident with these phrasal verbs. Today, we'll explore a few more that you'll hear often and can use in so many conversations. Let's jump right in. Max, what's up first?
Hey, Emma, let's start with run into. Now, run usually means to move quickly on foot. But run into has a completely different meaning. It means to meet someone unexpectedly.
Exactly. So, if you're walking down the street and see an old friend, you can say, I ran into my friend from school yesterday. It's a fun way to describe those chance meetings.
And it's one people use a lot, especially if you live in a small town or you're likely to see people you know. It's also common to use run into for problems. For example, I ran into some trouble at work. Here, it means encountering an issue.
That's a great point, Max. Using run into for problems is really natural. Okay, how about another useful one? Look after. So, look usually means to see something, but look after means to take care of someone or something.
Yes, you might hear someone say, I look after my younger sister, or can you look after my plants while I'm away? It's all about caring for someone or something and making sure they're safe and well.
Perfect examples, Max. It's such a common phrase, especially when talking about family, pets, or anything you're responsible for. All right, let's talk about give up. Now, give by itself means to offer something, but when you add up, it means to stop trying.
Yes, Emma, and it's very often used when talking about challenges or habits. For example, I won't give up on my goals, or I gave up smoking last year. It's a really useful way to talk about quitting something, especially when it's hard to do.
Exactly, and it's important to remember that give up doesn't always mean something negative. It can also be about making healthy or positive choices. All right, here's another one for you. Pick up.
Oh, great choice. Pick generally means to choose or select, like picking a flower. But pick up has a lot of meanings. One common meaning is to lift something. So, I picked up the book off the table. Another is to get someone or something, like I'll pick you up at the airport.
Yes, and pick up can also mean to learn something naturally, especially a language or skill. For example, I picked up some Spanish while I was on vacation. It's amazing how versatile it is.
Absolutely, Emma. Pick up is one you can use in all sorts of situations. And here's another that's similar, put up with. This one means to tolerate something or someone, even if it's a bit annoying.
Yes, so if there's a lot of noise in your building, you might say, I have to put up with the noise, or my friend talks a lot, but I put up with it because they're a good person. It's a good one to know when talking about patience.
Totally, Emma. Put up with is definitely helpful in everyday life. And speaking of putting things somewhere, another important phrasal verb is set up. Set usually means to place or arrange something, but set up can mean to organize or prepare something.
Yes, you'll often hear, I need to set up my computer, or let's set up a meeting. It's perfect for talking about getting things ready, like events or equipment.
Right, and if we're talking about making plans, there's also plan on. This one is very straightforward. It means to intend or decide to do something. Like, I plan on going to the gym later.
Exactly. You might hear, do you plan on studying tonight? It's a very natural way to talk about future intentions. All right, here's another essential one. Call off. Now, call usually means to contact someone by phone, but call off means to cancel something.
Yes, Emma, so if someone says we're going to call off the meeting, it means the meeting is canceled. Or the event was called off because of the rain. It's very useful for situations where plans change.
Definitely. And along those lines, we also have go over. Go typically means to move from one place to another, but go over means to review or examine something.
That's a great one. Emma, you might say, let's go over the details before we start. Or the teacher went over the answers with us. It's especially common in school or work settings where you need to check things carefully.
Exactly, Max. And since we're on this topic, let's talk about get along. This one is great for describing relationships. So get normally means to receive, but get along means to have a friendly or good relationship.
Yes, you might say, I get along well with my co-workers, or do you get along with your siblings? It's really helpful for talking about how you feel around other people.
Very true, Max. And speaking of relationships, another good one is breakdown. Break normally means to split something apart, but breakdown can mean to stop working, especially for machines or cars.
Right, you might say, my car broke down on the way to work. It can also mean when someone becomes very upset, like she broke down after hearing the news. It's useful for both emotional and physical situations.
Perfect examples. All right, Max, let's move to one more helpful one. Hold on. This is really common. Hold by itself means to grasp something, but hold on means to wait or pause.
Exactly, Emma. So you might hear, hold on, I need a moment, or if you're on the phone, someone might say, can you hold on for a second? It's polite and helpful to know for conversations.
Very useful, and here's another one that's often used in daily life. Take care of. So take generally means to get or accept something, but take care of means to look after something or someone.
Right, like I'll take care of the plants while you're away. It's a nice way to offer help or responsibility. And when someone says, take care, it's a friendly way to say goodbye and wish them well.
Yes, and finally, let's talk about makeup. Make by itself usually means to create or produce something, but makeup can mean a few things. It can mean to invent something, like she made up a funny story.
That's right, and it also means to reconcile or resolve an argument, like they had a fight but they made up later. It can even mean to compensate for something, like I'll make up the time tomorrow.
So many uses, right? Well, we've covered a lot of phrasal verbs, Max. I think these should give our listeners a strong start in feeling more confident with their English.
Absolutely, Emma, we've gone through a lot of examples, and I hope our listeners now have a better idea of how these phrases work in different situations. Remember, everyone, phrasal verbs may seem tricky, but with practice, they'll feel natural.
Yes, and don't worry if you don't get them all right away. Start by using just a few, and as you feel comfortable, add more. They're so useful in real conversations, so it's worth the effort.
Definitely, and with regular practice, these phrasal verbs will become second nature. So keep listening, keep practicing, and remember, it's okay to make mistakes along the way.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Max, and I really enjoyed discussing these phrasal verbs with you.
Yes, and if you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe to our channel. We have more English tips and conversations coming your way, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your family and friends who are also learning English. Practicing together makes it even more fun and effective.
Thanks again, everyone. Take care, keep practicing, and see you next time.
Bye for now.